We are live, ma'am.
Okay. Good day, everyone, and welcome to the STEM Lockdown Digital School. To those who tuned in yesterday or who were part of the lesson, welcome back, and welcome to our new members, if there are new members who joined us today. So, my name is Kadahoma Tibe, and I'll be presenting the Life Sciences Grade 10 lesson to you guys. My email is ls.weeznet@gmail.com. So you guys may use that email address to ask questions or for any other assistance that you'd like me to help you with. So getting back to the question I was asked yesterday, if I have a Google Classroom or want to create one, unfortunately I will not be able to create one, but you guys can just use the email address for any other things that you need help with. I will gladly help. Remember that you have the question and answer section that you can use to ask me questions and to tell me if I am moving too fast or when you don't understand me or need me to clarify. Use that tab and then, yeah, we can get started. So yesterday, we started off on the strand of diversity, change, and continuity under the topic history of life on Earth. So we started with history of life on Earth yesterday. So today we are continuing with this topic and we will be talking about mass extinctions and fossil formation. So at the end of the lesson, what I'll be expecting from you guys, I will need you guys to be able to define concepts that are highlighted in bold black, to explain each of the 5 mass extinctions, to explain what fossils are and how most fossils form, to name and explain the different types of fossils, and to answer questions on mass extinctions and fossil formation. So remember I said I would like you guys to have like a separate exercise book whereby you write your terminologies, if it works for you though. Write down your terminologies for each section that we deal with or that you read up on. Write down the terminologies of that section and keep on going back to that book to remind yourself. Terminologies will always help you to remember concepts of every other topic that you have to deal with in life sciences. So, just a quick recap. Yesterday we started off with the history of life on Earth. And these are the topics that we dealt with. We talked about the changes in the composition of the atmosphere. And we started off with the increased oxygen levels. So, under increased oxygen levels, we said that it's believed that there was little or no oxygen at all when the Earth formation started. So back then, there was no oxygen or there was little oxygen. And as time went by, more organisms developed and they started photosynthesizing to produce oxygen. And scientists believe that this lack of oxygen that was back then led to the development of life. But the presence of this gas, it led to a biodiversity of organisms that used it for respiration. So remember the key terms under this. We said respiration and biodiversity. You should remember those. If you were not or you didn't watch the YouTube video of yesterday's lesson or you were not part of the lesson, please do. And all the bold black words that are highlighted, write down the definitions. Good. So, under cooling of the earth, we said that as years went by, the earth experienced extreme cold, and this was due to large sheets. These large sheets were, we said these large sheets are glaciers. So glaciers are large sheets of ice that form through the process of glaciation. And this was caused by a number of factors, and these factors were continental drift, your changes in the Earth's orbit, your climate change, and others that we touched on. So under continental drift, we mentioned that continents, there was one big continent, one large continent back then. And then as years went by, this large mass called the Pangaea broke up into two masses. And these masses were in the northern and the southern hemisphere. The northern hemisphere mass is called the Laurasia, and the southern hemisphere mass is called the Gondwanaland. So the Gondwanaland years later further divided or broke up into the continents that we know of today in the south. And these are Africa, South America, Australia, Madagascar, and India. And the ones in the northern hemisphere further divided. So Laurasia further divided into North America, your Europe, your Asia, and your China. This is the continental drift. It was because of what? Climate change. So under biogeography, we said that biogeography is the geographical distribution of biological species. So biogeography tells us or shows scientists that it provides evidence, if I may put it that way, to scientists that, okay, because we're talking about continental drift, that continents were merged, then later on they divided. Some of these continents may share similar species, like Africa and Madagascar. They have similar species that are on both continents. And this shows that the two continents were once combined. So that's biogeography. And now the theory of plate tectonics. Under the theory of plate tectonics, we said that plate tectonics arose from, this theory arose from the theory of continental drift. And that Earth is made up of large plates that are able to move apart and are on top of a very hot material. Now, I asked you guys what that hot material was. And to remember correctly, I think Jenna said it's magma, and Anonymous said magnum. I said it's magnum, and magma is the Afrikaans word. But no, guys, to rectify the mistake, it's magma. So Jenna was correct, despite being Afrikaans. So this hot mass, the plates are on top of this hot mass, and they cause a large number of things. They can cause an upward movement of large continental blocks, which leads to an ice age. So moving on to the fossil evidence found in South Africa. We said that under fossil evidence, fossils are ancient remains that are found in rocks or in ice or tar. And the study of fossils is paleontology. Now, to show that, again, continents were merged and there was one big mass back then. We said scientists look at these evidences. In the KZN, they found ammonites and bivalves, the fossils of these species, and they also find trilobites in the Karoo and whale fossils in the west coast of South Africa. Now, this tells us that all these areas were once covered by the ocean because all of these fossils are marine fossils. Yeah. So it tells you something that it was covered by water and then now water moves. So maybe continental drift happened here because it's a geographical event and a geological event. So looking at geological timescale, we said that geological timescale is what scientists use for bigger units than century, and it consists of 3 main eras, which are further broken down into periods and then into epoch. Then I ask you, where are we now? Which period are we living in now, or epoch are we living in now? It was part of your question that I gave you, and I hope you guys answered those questions. So under the epochs, we have the Holocene, the Pliocene, the Miocene, and others. You can read up on that. And lastly, we covered the Cambrian explosion. The Cambrian explosion is just an era or the period whereby animals exploded, meaning they developed in a short period of time. And scientists were amazed by this. So we humans also, we fall under this period, the Cambrian period, because we appeared at the end of it. Yeah. Now the questions that I asked you yesterday was, firstly, describe the time period in which you live using the geological time scale. What did you guys say that was? Which time are we living in now? I'm just giving you like 10 seconds to answer. Then I'll give you the answer. You guys can watch the video to see the answers if you joined the session late. Yeah. Or if you are not sure and want to mark your work. Okay, and the second question was, how long ago did the Holocene epoch begin? So the time period in which we are living in now, it's called the Holocene epoch. And when did it begin? It began around 10,000 years ago. So can you describe 10,000 or express 10,000 years in millions of years? What you just do is a mathematical question. You just divide 10,000 years divided by 1 million. And then you get your answer. So these are the answers. The Holocene epoch of the Quaternary period of the Cenozoic era. Because this is the present era that we fall under from the 3 main eras. And how long ago did the Holocene epoch begin? It began 10,000 years ago. And lastly, can you describe or express 10,000 years in millions of years? Just say 10,000 years ago divided by 1 million years ago equals to 0.01 million years ago. Now, heading on to today's topic. We are starting off with mass extinctions. So what are mass extinctions? Thanks, Gina. That's the correct answer, 0.01 million years ago. Thank you for the response. So mass extinctions. An extinction refers to the death of all the organisms of a species so that not even a single member of the species exists. Not even a single member of the species exists. And Remember that there are two types of extinctions, the natural extinction and man-made extinction. I'm sure you are familiar with this because I believe all of us are part of these man-made extinctions, that the extinction that's currently happening now, but we'll get onto it. So, natural extinctions. Natural extinctions usually occur at a constantly lower rate, almost the same rate at which new species are formed. Okay, so it's almost equal to that, and we don't normally see or like observe that these extinctions are taking place because we see more species developing. So as these ones die out, new ones are found. So we are focusing on the new ones and we are forgetting the old ones. Like right now, which organisms are currently becoming extinct? Which organisms are currently becoming extinct that you guys know of? We've been talking about these on the news, they've been complaining in your game lodges and stuff like that. Now moving on. But there are times when more than 50% of the F species vanishes in a geological instant of a few million years. And this is called a mass extinction. So a mass extinction is it's an extinction that takes place, an extinction of organisms, a large number of organisms that takes place, that takes place at an instant. Okay, that's a mass extinction. So you can tell from the word mass what it means. So the mass extinction is usually caused by climate change, because we are talking about changes in the atmospherical conditions. So climate change and geological events lead to extinctions, basically. So the five major mass extinctions, sorry, pardon me for that. So the first mass extinction, we have the 5 major mass extinctions that took place. And you guys should know these 5 major mass extinctions and should be able to explain them when given a test or an exam. So they might ask you to explain what happened during the 3rd or 4th mass extinction and when did it happen. So you see I bolded the years here and what caused it, but I didn't bold it in black, it's just bolded. So the first mass extinction, this is the earliest known mass extinction that occurred about 439 million years ago, and it was caused by a drop in sea levels. So another climate change condition or scenario. So the sea levels drop because of the formation of glaciers, and glaciers are what? They're a large sheet of ice. So these sea levels rose as the glaciers started to melt due to what? An increase in temperature. So you see, we are just repeating the same concept over and over again under this topic of the history of life. So you just need to play around with your words and to know where to use certain concepts. Now, the second and the third mass extinction. The second mass extinction occurred about 364 million years ago. Ne? And it is not known what caused this extinction. Even today, scientists do not know what caused this. So we just know that a major extinction happened 364 million years ago. Now the third one, it occurred about 250 million years ago, and it may have been caused by a comet or asteroid impact or volcanic floods. So this is also because of what? Another geological event that took place. that might have been the cause. They are not as sure as what was the cause, but they are doubting these three. Okay, so these are the three theories that scientists had, that it might have been a comet or an asteroid impact or a volcanic flood. Might have been all of them. So we'll see as we move on. So the fourth mass extinction occurred about 199 million years ago to 240 million years ago, during that range, during that time, between these two times. So it was caused when volcanoes erupted and they released large amounts of lava. So lava comes from magma. So as magma, when there's a volcanic eruption, magma rises and then it becomes lava. What we see is lava and not magma, but it's magma. This is a 10 lead to global warming. It leads to global warming. And you know other things that lead to global warming, right? Yeah. We are the cause, of course. We are also a part of the cause of global warming. So the fifth mass extinction. This mass extinction occurred about 65 million years ago. That was not long ago. That was not that long ago. But it was. Yeah, it was. But what possibly caused these? What caused this was an asteroid impact on the Yucatan Peninsula, which is in the Gulf of Mexico. This is one thing I made a mistake by putting up a point there, which is in the Gulf of Mexico. And it might have been caused by the gradual climate change or a volcanic eruption and others. There are just several, but they just named these ones. So, but from the five, two particular extinctions stand out. These were the ones that occurred 250 million years ago and the one that occurred 65 million years ago. So if you can remember, let us just go back, 2 slides back. We said 250 million years ago is the third mass extinction, and it might have been caused by, so scientists were not sure. And the other one was the fifth one, which had several possible causes. So scientists were not sure of what caused this. They had theories that they had to prove. Now, during the 250 million years ago extinction, almost 90% of the species during that time became extinct. And these included 84% of marine genera and about 70% of land species, plants, insects, and vertebrate animals. So this was a lot of organisms that became extinct. Now think of all the 10% that remained from the 90% that became extinct. But remember that extinction occurs when extinction occurs, more organisms develop. So maybe there wasn't that much change because more organisms developed. Now the dinosaurs appeared about 245 million years ago and they flourished during the Jurassic period. Now this period, you guys shouldn't forget it because I bet with my life that you guys have watched or have heard of the movie called Jurassic Park. It's all about dinosaurs. So dinosaurs were a lot during this period, the Jurassic period. So this period occurred about 208 to 143 million years ago. So the dinosaurs dominated the land and air, and most of them even lived in water. So birds and mammals also existed during this time. And the dinosaurs then became extinct in a short period of 10 million years. Now it goes back to our scientists. They're still not sure about the exact cause of the mass extinction. However, the following are some of the conditions that occurred during this time. So there was a sharp drop in temperature, the water of the seas evaporated, and the source of the dinosaurs' food died out because they couldn't survive this drop in temperature. So plants that were adapted to higher temperatures, they couldn't survive this drop in temperatures, so they died out. And these species over here, as you can see, this is during the Jurassic period. The dinosaurs didn't have anything to eat, so they died and became extinct. So just a quick question, are dinosaurs carnivores or omnivores, or just herbivores? Where do they fall? Just a quick question, so that we know that maybe they might have eaten each other because there was no plants to eat and stuff like that. Just a quick question for you guys. Yo, sorry Itu that I am too fast. I'll try to be as slow as possible. Apologies for that. Apologies for that. So as I mentioned, then birds and mammals also existed during this time, the time where dinosaurs were a lot, if I may put it that way, during the time of dinosaurs, during this Jurassic period. And then later on, dinosaurs became extinct in a short period of 10 million years. So scientists are still not sure about the exact cause of this mass extinction. However, the following conditions are some that occurred during this time. So there was a sharp drop in temperature, the water of the seas evaporated, and their source of food died out. So my question, are dinosaurs herbivores, carnivores, or omnivores? So I see no one has responded yet. It's still okay. You guys will respond. Remember, I'm chasing time. You guys, due to this lockdown, we missed out on a lot, but I hope you guys were studying on your own. And now we're just clearing things out for you. And remember to use that email address if you feel like you still need more information, more resources, or have more questions. Then I can respond on that email address to help you guys out. But the Google Classroom, I'm sorry, I cannot create that one due to other commitments that I have. So looking at the mass extinction of the 65 million years ago, so scientists made a hypothesis. They had hypothesis. What is a hypothesis? You guys are doing experiments. You did experiments and you know what a hypothesis is. So scientists came up with 3 proposed explanations based on this mass extinction. because they had limited evidence as a starting point for their investigation. As you guys know, that they had several causes or proposed causes that they had of what caused this mass extinction. So the most common hypothesis is that an asteroid crashed onto Earth, causing global climate change. So this climate change led to the mass extinction. Remember, we had the comet or an asteroid crashing or a volcanic flood. So they had three. I hope you still remember from the previous slides. I mentioned those, but because I believe I am moving too fast, you guys might have forgotten, and I'm sorry about that. I'll try to move slowly. So the climate change led to the mass extinction due to this asteroid crashing onto planet Earth. So the layer of iridium, what's an iridium? It's an element, of course, but why do they say a layer? Where is it found in most times? What is an iridium? So this layer of the chemical element iridium and the large crater in the Caribbean Sea support the hypothesis. Which hypothesis? That an asteroid crashed onto Earth because of the layer of iridium and the large crater that was found in the Caribbean Sea. So this hypothesis deals with continental drift theory and volcanic activity in India. So there was a volcanic eruption in India back then during that time, and it was due to the continental drift. So if you can remember, 65 million years ago, we said there was when the Gondwana land divided or broke up into our southern hemisphere continents. That happened 65 million years ago. So it led to volcanic eruptions and a global climate change. So it is believed that the continental drift led to the climate change, and the volcanic activity released particles into the air that led to the lowering of the temperature by blocking the sun. So many species died as they could not adapt to the climate. Remember, we said their source of food, the dinosaurs' source of food, died out. So it was because of this climate change. So the plant species couldn't adapt to the climate change. Some they cannot grow in a high temperature area. So as I told you, we are just revolving around saying and one or two, three terms when describing a certain topic or when talking about a certain concept. So it's all about climate change, temperature drops or it rises, continental drift due to what, geological events. So it's just similar, same concepts, but different things. So E2 says that, do I think mermaids existed on Earth? Do I think that mermaids existed on our planet? So I believe that because there is no evidence that a half human fish ever lived, and I strongly believe in evidence, so I don't think that they existed because there's no evidence to prove it. That's my opinion. So if you find something that proves that theory or idea, then please do share it with us. And then Letaba says a hypothesis is an assumption or theory of an outcome of an experiment. Yes, thanks Letaba. And E2 says it is an idea that you test through a study and experiment. That's one and the same thing. Thank you guys for responding to that. So a hypothesis is an assumption or a theory of an outcome of an experiment. So this extinction is due to human exploitation of the environment. So remember I told you guys that we are the cause of some of the extinctions. So this sixth mass extinction from the two types of extinctions that we have, of which are the natural and the man-made, this sixth major extinction falls under the man-made extinction because humans play a huge role in it and it is occurring presently. So as we said, it is occurring presently and we are living in the Holocene epoch. This mass extinction is then called the Holocene extinction, or sometimes the megafauna extinction. The reason why they call it the megafauna is because large mammals are becoming extinct during this time. So, for example, I gave you the woolly mammoth and the doo-doo. So this picture here is of the woolly mammoth, and this one is of the doo-doo. I believe you guys have seen the woolly mammoth from the movie, this animation movie, Ice Age. Yeah, there's a woolly mammoth there. So that animation movie is based on what happened during Ice Age, and you saw that there were glaciers and stuff like that. So yeah, directors are making movies from, and movie makers from our science stories. So science is actually fun if you look at it that way. So this doo-doo here, it was a bird, it was a big bird that couldn't fly, kind of like a chicken. So it became extinct during this time. Idu, please focus on the lesson. Was there proof that they found it there? But anyways, We'll talk about it later on. Let's continue our lesson. I dismissed her reply, or his reply, sorry. Now, what are fossils? Now, before we start off with fossils, let me ask you a quick question. Because now, major human activities are reduced because of this lockdown and because of this pandemic. Do you see it as a blessing in disguise that because of major human activities have reduced, the earth is actually taking time to restore, and all of these human exploitations to the environment, because they have reduced, they're giving it time to restore and get back to how it was before we started off with our fossil fuels and all these factors damaging the ozone layer and stuff like that. Do you think that it is a blessing in disguise? Because I believe that if I ask you a question, what are the advantages and disadvantages of this global pandemic? You mentioned that an advantage is because the earth took a breather from what we humans were causing, because we are harming it. So now that we are indoors, we are not traveling. Cars are not producing that harmful gas that you guys know of. Factories are closed down. They're not contributing to global warming. We are no longer cutting down trees to build houses and for infrastructure and construction purposes. So do you think it is a blessing in disguise? Don't look at yourself only, because yes, it's not that great to be indoors, I know, but think of the environment. Think of the environment. So yes, it is a blessing in disguise that it happened. So maybe it was because the earth couldn't take it no more, so it had to take a breather. Hence, some things happened. Now, starting off with fossils. What are fossils? We touched base on this yesterday. We said fossils are remains of ancient life forms that have been preserved in rock or in ice, tar, and dried sap of trees. And the study of fossils is called paleontology. So this is an example of a fossil. And also this one. This is a picture of the Taung child that one of our mates yesterday told us about, that it was discovered by Raymond Dott. So this is a fossil that was found in South Africa, the Taung child. Now, how do fossils form? The richest source of fossils are found in sedimentary rock. And sand and silt from the land is carried to the seas and swamps by rivers. And the remains of dead organisms settle to the bottom, and mineral salts also settle to the bottom, which then filter out the body of the dead organism, and this dead organism becomes petrified. It is turned into a stone, and then we find a fossil. So this is how fossils are made. So fossils are carried to the seas by sand and silt when there's like floods of water. Then they carry the dead bodies of organisms there. And the remains of these dead organisms, they settle to the bottom of the rivers or the seas. And then mineral salts also settle to the bottom, and they filter into the body of the dead organism, which then turns into a stone that scientists will later find and tell us that such and such species was found, or the Darwin child was found in South Africa, or a whale fossil was found there. It's because it has turned into a stone. But not all fossils turn into a stone. And not all fossils are tangible. Not all fossils are tangible. And those that are not tangible, we can see that by an imprint. An imprint is left behind when the organism starts to decay before it becomes petrified. Therefore, some fossils are actual organisms or parts of the dead organisms, while other fossils are just impressions or imprints. Like on this picture here, it is an imprint of a leaf. So maybe the leaf belonged to a type of tree that became extinct. So it then left behind the decay before it became a stone. So imprints are just outlinings of the dead organism or parts of it left in the stone. So you can also make your own imprints at home. If you have clay, you just put your hand on that clay and then let it to rest. Then you'll see the outlinings of your palm or your arm or your hand on that clay. That's an imprint. Or like a footprint when you are by the beach, you step on the sand, you see your footprint. That's an imprint. But then that one gets washed away, it gets removed. But yeah, I hope you guys get what I mean. So we said that most fossils are found in sedimentary rock. Sedimentary rock pile up over each other. These rocks pile up over each other over millions of years, and they pile up in layers called the strata. So the strata is just layers of rocks on top of each other, piled up layers of rocks. So the oldest layer is at the bottom and the youngest layer at the top. So certain fossils were found in certain layers. Because of what? Because of the rock pileup over millions of years. So this means that these fossils were formed in a particular period. So now looking at this picture here, the diagram here says that scientists here are taking core samples. So they are by the lake to take core samples of the layers down there. They're most probably checking how old these layers are and if using radio sensing devices, if there are any fossils within the layers. So the oldest layer is at the bottom and the youngest is at the top. Okay, so guys, so sorry, I didn't check the time and our session is up. We'll continue with our session tomorrow. No, I mean on Monday. We'll finish off what we had started. And the take-home message is how fossils are formed and what are fossils. And I see Anonymous is saying yes, because the earth needed a break from human activities. Yes, that's what is happening now due to this global pandemic. The earth needs a break from human activities. We are stripping the earth of its purest minerals and have damaged it. The disadvantage that people are losing their lives due to the pandemic. However, on the bright side is that it means that less damage is done on a daily basis. For example, there are less cars on the road, so there's less CO2 released in the air. So yes, guys, thank you for your responses. That is the advantages and disadvantages of this pandemic. So guys, we'll continue on Monday. Have a great day and enjoy your weekend. Thank you for tuning in. You can catch this on YouTube for more information if you didn't get the information. Goodbye.